If someone walks up on you, right, you're feeling good, and all of a sudden they open their mouth, they say something, snap, all of a sudden you're feeling upset. Who controlled whom? What?
The bully controlled you?
They controlled you. And if you let somebody else's words control you, what do you think is going to happen?
They're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, they're going to keep doing it.
They're going to pick at you like they...
Yeah, they're going to keep picking at you because they know they can get to you. You will become a target. Nobody wants to be a target. But if I'm chilling, right? Come on, let's do it again. I'm feeling good. Watch. And he says something negative to me, go ahead. You see what I mean? Who is in control?
You.
Me. I'm not going to let nobody's words take my joy. Don't let anybody's words control you. If you want to have true confidence, when you go to middle school, put your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I have decided that whenever I have something to do, I don't care what people think. And I'm glad I made that decision. And I'm glad.
I am super excited, and I wanted to start by saying, both of you, I really appreciate this. I don't know, meeting, lesson, interview. This is really a conversation, but I want to say the reason why this is very important to me is that with my platform that I have with Belanle Media and the Rosalind Amaka Show, it's one thing to meet all of these cool people, but I feel like what can we take away and learn from each other? And I feel like, Miss Jackson, you worked really, really hard when it comes down to like these kids, the power of an amazing teacher and then the power of words that you say. When I found you on Instagram and you showed up on my algorithm, I'm like, oh my gosh, this would have impacted me as a child. And then when I think about Chris and how his life has truly changed and the impact of what he wants to make and the conversation that we had and his reach of millions of people that have been following him since he's been 7, this is the type of godliness and just energy we want to put out into the world, because I believe that your message, we can really help get it out there
Yeah,
and make a difference.
Yay.
that's so true.
Yes. And just ask, is there any questions you have for Chris and I before we begin?
Did you both bring a sheet of paper and a pencil?
No, I didn't get one.
Do you
I
have
think-
something to write with? Just one? Because I'm going to have you do something that's going to blow your mind. So
All right,
just something to write with. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, give me a sec. Be right back.
Okay. You went to school.
I got mail. Is that okay?
Sure. That's okay. That's
I couldn't find my, this is funny. I'm going to put this in there.
Okay, so you were saying about you wanted learning to be fun, right? I'm going to tell you why that's really important. But before I do, Chris, let me ask you. Think of the worst class you ever took and the teacher that was in that class. Don't say any names in case they're watching. Do you remember that class?
So my question was, were you referring to the most chaotic class I've ever been in, or the worst class that I personally felt?
Well, let's say, remember a class that you had where you just didn't enjoy it. Learning wasn't fun. Do you remember that experience?
Okay, I remember it.
Okay. And when you were in that class, what do you remember learning in that?
I don't remember anything that I learned.
Okay. Did you hear that? Here is why it's important to make learning fun, make it enjoyable, because memory is mood related. That means whatever mood you're in when you learn the stuff, You have to go back into that mood to remember. So
Mm,
if you go in a class and you're feeling upset and the teacher doesn't do anything to shift your mood into a learning mood, that means when you have to remember that stuff, you have to go back into that upset mood. Now, what mind wants to do that? That's why
none.
you won't remember.
Right.
You see? So it's really important to feel good first. You were going to ask me that. Why is that? Because if you don't feel good, you're not going to remember what the teacher was teaching you. That's
Yeah.
right.
It's interesting that you say that, Miss Jackson, because I know when it comes down to when a kid is in a bad mood and they're not going to remember anything, I feel like you can definitely relate to this within your background. And can you share everyone your story as a child and not feeling like you belonged?
Oh, where do I start? Okay, so look, I'll start at age 5. I was abducted and actually talked the man into letting me go. Eventually, yeah, when I was 6, my mother tried to commit suicide and I knew what she was doing at 6. When I was 11, I came home just in time to stop her second suicide attempt. Do you know what that did to me?
Hey, I can't even imagine.
You can't. And then when I was 15, she died. I was signed over as a ward of the court, bounced from foster home to foster. And so at that time in my life, I was supposed to be learning how to manage my life successfully, right? How to manage my emotions. Because you can't manage your life if you can't manage your emotions. But I didn't
Mm,
have anybody teaching me this stuff. What do I do with my anger? My sadness and grief. Look, I don't recall anybody ever asking me how I felt. I mean, is that just ridiculousness? That could just
not
go on for sure.
they
You
didn't ask you in
know,
school?
not at school, not at home. They didn't talk about emotions and stuff back then. And so I didn't even know. In fact, what do you think I was feeling? Chris, what do you think I was feeling?
Alone?
I was feeling alone. What else?
Angry?
Angry? You know I was feeling angry.
Did
All
you
this stuff, huh?
depression?
What?
Did you go through depression? Like a depression?
You know I did. Depression. And here's what depression means. By the way, every emotion has a meaning, right? That's why it's there because it's giving you a message. So here's what depression really means. And I'm not talking about clinical depression. I'm talking about the kind that we all feel from time to time. Depression means either you feel helpless or hopeless or both. That's what depression means. And so I
Mm,
had all this stuff happening to me in my life that I, I didn't have any control over. I mean, I'm sure you recognize now. You've been in this world long enough to know stuff is just going to happen, right? It's just going to happen. You have
yeah.
no control over what happens. My problem, I was trying to control the stuff. I developed a need to control. And you know what the problem with that is? The
Right.
need to control. Wait, before I tell you that, what do you think the need to control is? How, how do you know if you have the need to control?
When you don't feel comfortable with any circumstance.
That's one way of knowing. How else do you know when you have a need to control?
Micromanagement, bullying?
Boom!
Bullying.
Micromanagement, overthinking, all of that stuff signals that you have a psychological need to control. Now, the problem with that is we're talking about the word need.
right? Need to control. Your subconscious interprets the word need as something without which I can't survive. See? So if you have a need to control, you're going to start feeling like, no, I got to have it. That's why you start feeling anxious and worried because your subconscious is thinking, I got to have control. Otherwise, I won't survive. So here's the key. Get rid of the need, and then you have the control. Wow. Chris, you shaking your head over there. What's going through your mind?
I've been through that stage of me feeling like I needed control over everything, and once I took my mind off of control, everything fell into my lap.
Yeah, that's because you took away the need. Look, the word need presupposes lack. Because if you need something, that means you lack it. So if you get rid of the need for control, now you have the control. Man, you good. Hey, we're just getting started. What?
I know. I'm just like, like I'm really curious to know like this need to control, and then like how did you transition or how did you help yourself get out of that, like the steps?
Yes. So if I'm bouncing foster home to foster, right? And in a few ways, that was kind of good because it trained me to be able to adapt, right? Wherever I go, I can adapt. That's a good skill to have.
Wow.
But it also had some other things that blocked me from being as successful as I wanted. For example, every time I got to a new place, I started worrying about whether the people were going to want me. So then I couldn't really be myself. I had to please them. So I became a pleaser because if I didn't please them, they might not want me and they might get rid of me, you see. And if you have that pattern of pleasing others, you'll never be as successful and happy as you want because no matter what you do, there's going to be somebody out there who doesn't like it. You see? You see? And so
Chris
that
understands. There's always something.
I
I can't,
understand that
can't imagine what he goes
very,
through.
very level because I blew up on the internet for doing something that I love to do because I wanted to do it. And then as time goes on, I'm getting so many followers, so many views, so many different opinions. I found myself starting to subconsciously do the things that they like because I didn't want them to stop looking at me and watching me. And it was subconscious because it was like, I want to do what I want to do, but I want them to like me still too. So it's like, it was a hard line to draw, but I end up finding that path that I really like of just doing me and not caring what other people think because either they're gonna like me for me or they're not,
yeah,
and I'm okay with that.
yes. And it's amazing you said subconscious because that's going to help me answer the original question you asked me. How did I shift? How did I get out of all those emotional issues I had? Well, I was doing something back then, and I didn't know that what I was doing was going to be really helpful. I was just doing it. 15, 16, 17. Here's what I did. I always had something to do that I enjoyed. I read books. And I mean, I read for enjoyment, right? I played basketball. And I mean, when I was out there with the boys. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause a lot of girls weren't playing when I was growing up. So I was out there playing ball with the boys. I would play basketball and music. I would create music, write lyrics, and sing. And those were things that were from my core. I was operating from my core, but I didn't know that at the time. But when I look back, that helped me. And because I was determined to learn everything I could to make my life better, I met somebody. I met a teacher that changed my life.
How does she
This,
change up?
huh?
How does
This man was the most brilliant person I'd ever met. Now, I'm brilliant, straight up. I'm brilliant. But this man was the most brilliant person I ever met. He had a PhD in psychology, he had a PhD in religion, and he had combined the. See, I've never met anybody who'd done that, who would combine spirituality with psychology. He understood how the mind works. He had an EDD in education. That was everything that I craved. So I started learning from him, and he started teaching me how the mind works. Okay, put your hands right here. Put one hand right here. Come on, class. Put your hand right here. Say, this is my conscious mind.
This is my conscious mind.
Put it down here. Say, this is my subconscious.
this is
This
my
is
stuff?
my conscious.
That's right. You already mentioned subconscious, Chris. We have two minds, conscious and subconscious. Anytime you make a goal, you make it with your conscious mind, right? The problem is, if there's any disagreement in the subconscious, nothing you do is going to work because the subconscious is way more powerful than the conscious mind. And if there's a conflict between the two, nothing you do is going to work. So he taught me how to recognize when there's a conflict and then use something that I call influential language to eliminate the conflict on the spot. That's what he taught me. And at the time, I was teaching, right? I had my own classroom. I was in the classroom with the kids, and I've always been good with kids. But there would be things that would come up in the classroom, and I wasn't quite sure, what to do. And on my break, I would go call him and say, "Hey, Doc, this is happening." And he would say, "Okay, say this, do this." So I would go back and do it, and it would work. I would go like, wow. Or I would try something in there and sit back and watch the kids. They were my guinea pigs.
I want to be
And
your
then,
guinea pig. I can't wait.
yeah, and then it would be like 75%. And then I pull it back and I'll take it home and tweak it. And then I go back and say, bam, and I sit back and watch. That's what I started doing in real time. In fact, one of the books I wrote called How to Have More Control Over What Happens to You. Wait, why do you think I named it that title?
Hmm.
How to have more control. Why? I like that it's very direct and straight to the point, but it definitely, I feel like you make it just simple. You tell people exactly so they don't know what am I guessing about. So you're helping reduce their anxiety. So I have a clear path on how to do it. And so it's straightforward. That's my guess.
Yes, A+ for you. Come on, Chris.
What she said since she got the A+.
Okay, yes, but listen to the title. How to have more control over what happens to you.
Mhm.
Crickets. Look, crickets in here.
You're right. Mhm.
Okay, so look, stuff happens. I told you a little bit about my life. Now, you all know I went through a whole lot more. You know I did. I just gave you a little bit. But what
Mhm.
nobody taught me when I was a kid, stuff is going to happen to you. Unexpected things are going to be thrown at you. It is important for you to be able to handle it. You don't have to know what to do, but that you believe you can handle it. You see? Because if you don't believe, that's right. If you don't believe you can handle it, that creates anxiety and that creates stress, and you won't handle it because that's one of those subconscious limits and beliefs. I can't handle it. So, just in case there's any subconscious disagreement, put your right hand over your heart and repeat after me, both of you. I have decided
I have decided
Yes.
that whatever happens,
that whatever happens,
I can handle it
I can handle it
well
Well,
well
and successfully.
and
and
success.
no matter what.
no matter what.
And I'm glad I made that decision.
And I'm glad I
And
made
I'm
that
glad
decision.
I made that decision.
And I'm glad, I'm glad.
And
And I'm
I'm
glad.
glad, I'm glad.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm, I like that. That exercise, is that what you say you have the students stay every day?
That's one of them. And it's
Mhm.
not that we say it every day. You can say it for a week or so. You just want to make sure what we just did is install that into your brain. That's what we just did. Anytime you use language like I've decided, you're telling here, wait, let me back up for a sec. What's a GP?
Yes, it's a guide to tell you where to go.
That's right. It's a guide to tell you where to go. And it actually directs you to go there, right?
Hmm.
Watch this. Watch this. Your brain is a GPS. It always wants to take you somewhere. Always. It's a goal seeking mechanism. Look, if you don't give it a goal, a destination, it's going to take you where it thinks you should go. And that's usually to your negative past.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, yeah, that's true.
So, for example, let's say you're deciding to start your own business, right? Idea comes up and you're all fired up and it's like, oh yeah, yeah. And you're starting to, write notes down or whatever you do, move in that direction. And all of a sudden, those negative thoughts come up. What? What kind of thoughts come up?
The subconscious ones,
Like what?
like
This is not gonna
can't
work
do it.
because
Yeah,
someone else tried it.
Yes, this is not going to work or somebody else tried. What else?
it's too hard. You can't do
Yep.
it.
Yep. It's too hard. I can't do it. I'm too old. I'm too young. They won't like me. All of that stuff starts coming up. That's your brain taking you back to a destination that you were in the past. That's what happens. But when
Mm,
you direct your brain, when you say, okay, I've decided I'm going to start a business and I'm going to do it easily and successfully. Now you've given your brain that goal. So instead of it taking you back to the past, it can move you forward. Does that make sense?
yes.
Yeah.
Chris, I feel like you can relate to this, what she's saying.
No, I can because I like growing up, it was a little different for me. I was always different from all the other kids. Like I always, for one, believed in myself. I always knew that anything that I wanted to do, I'm just gonna do it, whether people say I'm lame for this or they don't like the things that I do. And I was always a dream chaser. So that was my purpose as a kid for real, just to, explore my talent, explore the things that I'm able to do on my God given skills and talents. So it was like I just explored that as much as possible, regardless of what anyone said. And, sometimes after it all worked out, I do sometimes revert back to the oh dang, this might not work or it might not work or, I can't do this because of just, the thing that the brain wants to just to take us back to where we just were. Cause it's like, man, I already asked this. Why am I still feeling like I can't do something when I just proved to myself that I can do it?
Right,
Regardless,
right,
I can relate to this.
right. That's because of something called the negativity bias of the brain. The brain is always bringing up fear, uncertainty, doubt, because it's trying to protect us. For example, remember when I told you how that man abducted me, right?
Mhm.
When he abducted me, there was like this door and there were stairs leading down the door. The door was open and it was like he was going to take me down those stairs. There was a dog down at the bottom of the stairs barking and growling. I was terrified. Oh, continue now. So, okay, so that door, right? The door was the thing that stood out. I was terrified. I was. I was just, I was shaking in my boots and all I could see was that door. But I never told anybody about that. I was only 5. So I never really told anybody that experience or talked about it. I carried it with me. And about 7 years ago, I was out in the park doing my exercise, right? Jogging. And so I run by this sports shed. And on that sports shed is a door. Now, I didn't realize it until all of a sudden I had a panic attack. Now, because I know that if I start feeling anxious or panic, something has been triggered, right? Because I knew I wasn't in any danger. I wasn't in any danger in the park. So I know it was a trigger. So I did my first step. Whenever I start feeling anxious, I do step 1. Breathe. But it's a specific kind of breathing. Come on, let's do it. You ready? You're going to breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Notice how when I blow out, real gently, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Drop your shoulder. That's it. You feel that? Drop your shoulder. Now, when you breathe in through your mouth, in your mind, you're going to be counting 1001, 1002, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. One more time. In 1001, 1002, out. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. Here's why you count in your mind. Because as soon as the brain hears you counting, it's alerted you're out of danger. So it turns off the danger signal. That's why you count. That's the first step. When you do that for about 60 seconds, that just alerts the brain, okay, you're not in any danger. So it can turn off the siren. The second thing I did is I asked myself, okay, wait, what was I thinking right before I went into that panic? And it came to me. That door reminded you of the door that man was going to take you down. You see, if you ask, what was I thinking? What thought came to my mind? What images came to my mind? What words came to my mind? Your mind will tell you. And so as soon as that came up, what my young mind had done when I was 5, it made me believe that all doors that look like that are dangerous. Can you see why that would happen? You know how people talk about trauma? That's really what trauma is. When you go through some kind of trauma, your mind creates beliefs based on that trauma. That's really what causes the post-traumatic stress stuff. You
Wow.
see?
You're definitely making me think about different things that when I see it, I have that same feeling. So thank you for that. I just wanted to say I'm thinking
Yeah.
about certain things. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, once you notice that pattern, because it's a pattern, everything is pattern. The brain develops pattern. Once you see that pattern, right, that feeling comes up and you're feeling whatever it is, that fear, threat, anxiety, and you know there's nothing happening that's dangerous for you now. The first thing you can say as soon as it comes up, I cancel that. Because as soon as you say I cancel that, that's called a pattern interrupt. You just interrupted the pattern. I
I
cancel
cancel
that. What can you say, class?
I canceled that.
That's right. Look, we said everything is a pattern, right? Let me show you a pattern. You got your paper and pencil? Okay. On your paper, you're going to write this. Do you see that? And
Uh-huh.
go all the way down to 9. Okay. So 0 and count to 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Uh-huh.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay. Hold up your homework, class. Let me see it. Good job, Roseanne. Let me see yours. Good job, Chris. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so what did you do? You simply counted from 0 to 9, correct?
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
this is what you're going to do next. Right next to that number, you're going to start at 9 and count all the way down to 0. Good. Perfect. Keep holding it up. Perfect. That's it. Okay. Do you notice anything funny about those numbers? You notice anything familiar? Huh? Each of them adds up to 9. What
Yes.
else do you notice? Yeah, it starts to go backwards. Okay, watch this. You remember your 9 times tables? What's 9 times 1? Look at your paper. What's 9 times 2? It's
Oh,
9
that's
times.
so cool.
You see that? You see that? That's the answers to your 9 times table.
Oh, I wish you were my teacher.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a pattern. That's what it is. All math has a pattern. Once you see the pattern, it becomes easy. All math has a pattern. Yes, yes. Everything is patterns. And like you said, Chris, if you draw a line here, you see that? What happens, Chris? They become backwards. Like 45
Mhm.
became 54, 36 became 63, 27 became 72, 18 became 81, and 09 became 9. How come they didn't show you that at school? Why don't they show patterns in math? Yes,
Yeah.
I want to say something in defense of teachers. Oftentimes, when teachers come to school, right, there's so much on their plates. They have things happening at home. You know, for example, there was a teacher that I was doing coaching with. One of her kids committed suicide. You never know what teachers are going through in their personal lives because they don't typically come to school and share that kind of stuff. That's the first thing. The second thing, just the whole system of education is overwhelming for many teachers because every time a teacher starts to do something, then the system comes and says, well, no, now you have to do this. So now they have to do something else, right? And then there's something else and something else. So they have so much on their plates. That's the second thing. And the third thing, this is what I've discovered. I've been consulting and coaching for at least 20 years. And I have been in over 1,000 classrooms. I know what works and I know what doesn't. Here's what I've discovered. When you go to school to become a teacher, they teach you how to teach subjects. Like they'll teach you how to teach math, but they don't teach you how to teach people. That's the difference. When you have people that you're sitting in front of or standing or you have to make sure you touch their hearts. You know, if a kid comes in and then the teacher says, okay, all right, we're going to do some English language arts today. Everybody take out your book. But the teacher hasn't done anything to motivate the child to want to learn it. Why should they learn it? You see,
Yeah.
and they can't help it. That's how the brain works. The problem is when you go to school to become a teacher, they don't teach you this stuff. That's why I'm doing it because they don't teach you that. So, for example, I was in a second grade class. And there was a little boy in there that was throwing chairs. I mean, it had gotten that crucial, right? And the teacher just didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? She was terrified because this little boy like throw the chair and all the other kids are like, you know, and so there's fear and everything. So I walk in and so instantly I say something to interrupt Pat. I'm not going to tell you what I said, but I said something and immediately the little boy stopped and looked at me. Then I said something else that was designed to go directly to his brain to calm him down. I'm going to tell you what I said because I like you.
I am
Here's what I
listening. I am
said.
definitely listening. What did you say to get this boy to calm down?
Here's what I said. I said, you're feeling upset. And no upset feeling lasts forever. That means you're going to feel better very soon. And I walk away. Now, why did that work?
You walked away because he was expecting you to yell or fuss at him and show that energy back to get him to stop, but he's probably used to that, and that was something completely abnormal from his reality.
Yes, those words I spoke were designed to go back in to the part of his mind where the threat was. So it wasn't me, it was my words that were going in there and calming him down. That's called that strategy right there. That's called a pace and lead.
Pace and leave.
A pace and lead. You've heard of pace and lead before. Where have you heard that? Pace and lead. Where have you heard pace before?
Mhm.
Track. That's right. Somebody's already always pacing. Group. They're the ones who pace you. They get you going where they want to go. The lead takes them where you want to go. So a pace and lead says anytime you make two true statements, the third statement you make will go directly into the subconscious as true. So what was the first true statement I said to him? Are
You
you
ex
feeling upset? You feeling upset? His subconscious went, yeah. And what was the second thing I said?
Yeah.
That's right. No upset feeling lasts forever. And his subconscious went, yeah. And then I said, and that means you're going to feel better soon. And I walked away. I kept a discreet eye on him, but I walked away. And within 90 seconds, he had calmed down. Did you know there are things you can speak to your own brain to calm it down? As human beings, we're always feeling. The
Mm.
problem is many of us don't even know what we're feeling at any given time. And if you don't know what you're feeling, that means you can't respond appropriately. So you never get rid of the problem. Remember how I told you when I was younger, nobody talked to me about emotions, right? So I'm feeling all this stuff. I was feeling alone, just like you said, Chris. And I was feeling, burdened and trapped in sadness, anger, just like you said, Roseland. But because nobody explained to me, Selena, when you're feeling something, it's important for you to acknowledge what you feel. I acknowledge that I'm feeling upset. Always acknowledge it first. The second thing, give yourself permission. It's okay for me to feel this. Many people feel mad because they feel upset. They get mad at themselves. Why am I feeling upset again? You see, that's called layered emotions. For grown-ups, that's called a cocktail of emotion. You know what happens with cocktails. Yeah, that's
It's
right.
it can definitely be overwhelming. And one thing that's coming to mind, Miss Jackson, is the state of the world right now that we're in. There's a lot of chaos, a lot of
Yes.
confusion. I feel like outside of maybe what people may see, everyone's looking at social media and everything is so perfect. But then within people's homes and families and relationships, what is the best advice that you can say right now with the state of the world, especially with all of the confusion that we're seeing on the TV? And I know there's a
Yes.
lot of anxiety because people don't
Yes.
know, are we having the next interesting, unexpected emergency where everything shuts down again? What
Mhm.
would you say to people as sort of advice?
Yes. Well, I typically don't give advice. What I typically do is give strategy. But when I give you the strategy, I want to give you the psychology behind the strategy. Because if you understand the psychology, you can come up with your own strategies. Remember how we were talking about the brain is like a GPS? It's going to take you. You know, that means you have to give it a destination. We already know we can't control any of that stuff that's going to happen. We don't even know what's going to happen. But here's what we can do. We can choose how we're going to respond. We can choose how we will be affected. So whenever I see some stuff like that happening, especially like after the pandemic, remember that? That was like, that was like, we had never been through anything like that before, and it just ripped through everything we ever knew. And we're still going through the effects of that, right? In the political arena, in the neighborhood, in school, at home, within our own minds and hearts. Here's what you do: make a decision about how you are going to be despite what happens. So repeat after me. I have decided.
I have decided.
Wait. Put your right hand over your heart and do it. Let's touch your heart. Repeat after me. Say, I've decided.
I have decided
Whatever happens over the next 4 years,
that whatever happens over the next 4 years,
I will succeed
I will succeed
and I will thrive.
and I will thrive.
And I'm glad I made that decision.
And I'm glad that I made that decision.
And I'm glad.
And I'm glad I'm glad. I want to say in
Yeah.
Jesus, amen.
And Jesus, that's right.
I was ready to say amen, hallelujah.
That's right. That's right. And look, that means you don't have to worry about what's going to happen because
Hey,
you already
never.
have the GPS goal that you're going to succeed and you're going to thrive.
Absolutely. When I tell you this is going to be a legendary interview. Again, you're changing lives, Miss Jackson.
Thank you.
That's really cool. Definitely, Chris, thank you so much. Enjoy your holiday. And then Miss Jackson, again, thank you so much for your time. And we will be talking. So if you need anything, you have my cell.
Yes, dear. Thank you so much. And thank you. Thank you.